Fellas, I feel like in 2024, the BMF belt is kind of just a disguised version of the interim belt. It's technically, oh, I've got this belt, I fought for a belt, and now I want to fight for the real champion. So I've created, in every division, one matchup between two fighters that I think could qualify as a BMF fighter. And these matchups don't necessarily make sense. It's not like, you know, they're fair matchups. In some of the matchups, it'll be one person that's obviously going to beat the other, but because both their styles are the whole, you know, they've got a very BMF-heavy style, I've kind of created some matchups. Starting off with heavyweight, I've gone Tom Aspinall versus Derek Lewis. Yeah, both of these guys, they've got the mindset that they don't care who they fight. They just want to fight. I mean, we've got Tom Aspinall, first of all, taking on one of the scariest fighters in the UFC at the time, and still, to be honest with you, Sergey Pavlovich on short notice. Sergey Pavlovich on short notice. When you say that sentence, it's a recipe for disaster, but no. Goes out there for the interim belt as well, and knocks him out cold. Knocks Sergey Pavlovich out cold. And you know what else I like about Aspinall? He doesn't care who he has to fight. He's already said he's never ever, every single time he's been offered a fight, he's always taken it. The only time he's ever said no to a fight is recently against Cyril Gane, and that's because he called Cyril Gane out in Paris. Cyril Gane rejected him, and now that Aspinall's got the interim belt, Cyril Gane suddenly wants to fight him. So Tom Aspinall, I respect the mindset that he doesn't care which heavyweight he has to fight, he'll fight him. Took on Curtis Blades, even though he's a stylistically most difficult fight for him in the heavyweight division. So I've gone Tom Aspinall, and then Derek Lewis again, short notice against Gelton Almeida in Brazil as a headliner. And you know what else I like about Derek Lewis? First of all, you got his style. You know, his stand and bang style. He just wants to scrap with people. He doesn't want to, you know, do the whole boring kind of lay on you for 5 round style. He wants to scrap with people, even though he's got, you know, 10 times the power his opponent does. And I also respect the fact that he's signing these big fight, long fight contracts. And I think he knows by now he's not going to get that belt. He's not going to get the title shot. And I respect the fight that he just takes on killers and he just wants to fight. So I've gone with Tom Aspinall and Derek Lewis for heavyweight. Light heavyweight, I've gone Yuri Prohaska and Jamal Hill. Yeah, they've both got a very offensive heavy style. I've got Yuri Prohaska that just comes forward with this really crafty style, and then Jamal Hill with some of the best boxing in the light heavyweight division. Again, these guys don't care about who they fight. You've got Yuri Prohaska, who had an absolute war against Glover Teixeira in 2022, and then recently against Alex Pereira as well. And then you've got Jamal Hill, who again had the absolute war against Glover Teixeira. And again, I can't wait to see these guys matched up against each other eventually. You know what I respect about these guys? They're not the type of guys that want to hold up the division. If they've got the belt, they'll happily say, listen, take the belt off me because I'm injured, and when I come back, I'll take that belt right off whoever's, you know, holding it. And that's what I respect about these two guys, that mentality of, I'm not going to try and hold up the division. I don't need to get as much, you know, days with the belt as possible. I'll give it up now. When I come back, I'm taking that belt right off whoever's the champion. So that's what I respect about both of these guys. Both had absolute wars, and I feel like these guys qualify for the BMF of the light heavyweight division. Middleweight, I'm going for the recent title fight between Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. Yeah, these guys, again, very similar. Strickland obviously beating so many contenders, so many short notice fights. The short notice fights against Adesanya for the belt as well, and goes out there and smokes him. I also respect the fact that he's taken on quite a lot of kind of tough contender matchups. He's taken on Brendan Allen, he's taken on Jack Hermansson, Abbas Magomedov. I saw a lot of people saying that Magomedov's going to beat him just because of his last name, and then he goes out there and completely proves him wrong by shutting him out in the second round. So that's what I like about Strickland. He doesn't care who he fights. Even the Pereira fight and the Cannonier fight, he takes short notice fights. He doesn't care if they're dangerous or they're not. He'll take them on. And obviously the scrap against Dricus du Plessis, he just wants to fight. And then you've got Dricus, and the one thing I respect about Dricus, well, not just one thing, but one of the things I respect about Dricus du Plessis is the fact that he's got such a weird style that shouldn't work, and he's got a gas tank that shouldn't let him become the champion, to be honest with you. You shouldn't be the champion when your gas tank is that bad. But one thing I respect about Dricus is his heart. This guy's got so much heart. He's going to find the victory no matter how hard he has to look for the victory. He will find a way to win in every fight. The Brad Tavares fight, the Darren Till fight, the Derek Brunson fight, the Whittaker fight, the Strickland fight. He's always going to find a way to win. So I feel like even though these guys fought for the middleweight belt, in disguise, there was the interim belt as well on the line. So for middleweight, I've gone Strickland and Dricus. Welterweight, Kevin Holland and Gilbert Burns. Yeah, Kevin Holland, he is probably the king of BMF. He's the king of short notice fights. He's called for short notice fights so often. I mean, he called for a short notice fight against Luque at UFC 296. He's been on countless short notice fights against Hamzat Chimaev in UFC 279 as well. JDM as well. Kevin Holland is just the king of short notice fights. He doesn't care who he's fighting. He just wants to go out there and scrap. And that's what I really respect about Kevin Holland. Doesn't care who he has to fight. And the fact that he's willing to promote the fight as well. It's not like he's just going to fight, get a paycheck and go. He's willing to promote a fight on literally like a day's notice. So for Kevin Holland, you've got to respect him. One of the most respectable guys in the UFC. Has BMF written all over him. And then I've gone for Gilbert Burns again with the whole short notice. Fought Bilal Muhammad on short notice. Fought some absolute killers. He's fought Hamzat before. He's fought Kamaru Usman. He fought Masvidal. I guess you can take Masvidal out the portion of killers. But you know what I'm trying to say. And he has a war every time. The war he had with Hamzat Chimaev. The fact that he fought Bilal Muhammad when he was injured as well. I've got to respect Gilbert Burns for that. Fighting on short notice. Even when his title shot is on the line. When he fought Bilal Muhammad, because if he'd have beaten Bilal Muhammad, he would have got the title shot. And I'm going to be honest, he didn't have to take the Bilal Muhammad fight. So I respect both of these guys, and I feel like both of these guys give off BMF energy, and definitely the biggest kind of BMFs in the welterweight division. Lightweight, I've got Arman Tsarukyan versus Benoit Saint Denis. Now, I'm not going to say they're the king of short notice or anything like that, but these guys give off the energy that they're going to be the next best thing at lightweight. You've got Arman Tsarukyan taking on Oliveira, Benoit Saint Denis taking on Poirier. They're both coming off dominant wins as well. You've got Arman Tsarukyan coming off that win over Beneil Dariush. You've got Benoit Saint Denis coming off the win over Matt Frevola. They're both coming off really dominant finishes, and I feel like if these guys fight one day, take my money, because this would be probably one of the most competitive fights you can make in the lightweight division right now. Two dangerous contenders. They've done great in their last few, and this would be an absolute bloody fight. It would be a war. One of the best fights you can make in the lightweight division right now. Like I said, you've got Benoit Saint Denis, who I think is going to give a lot of... I'm not saying he's going to beat him, but I think he's going to cause a lot of trouble to a guy like Poirier. Just his entire style is so well-rounded, is Benoit Saint Denis as well. And then you've got Arman Tsarukyan again, well-rounded. He's coming to take the belt off Islam Makhachev. I'm not saying he's going to beat him, but that's his mindset. So I respect both of these guys a lot. They're both BMFs, and they're probably going to get a title shot soon, and it wouldn't surprise me if both of these guys fight for the belt in the future. So for lightweight, I've gone on Arman Tsarukyan and Benoit Saint Denis. Featherweight, another fight that has happened before, Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway. Yeah, these guys are they're definitely the two best in the featherweight division. It's that Volkanovski's number one, and then Holloway's number two. We'll start off with Holloway. Holloway, you've got to respect him. He just fights any contender is given. Arnold Allen, a dangerous Arnold Allen coming off wins, beats him. I'm not going to say that, Korean Zombie was a dangerous contender, but the fact he's able to fight all these, tough contenders. He's fought Brian Ortega before, Yair Rodriguez before, and obviously Volkanovski 3 times, and he's still trying to get that title shot. The fact that he's just moved up a division to fight Gaethje as well when he didn't have to do that, I've got to respect him, and he's actually going to be fighting for the BMF belt soon. So I've gone Max Holloway, and then I've gone Volkanovski. Yeah, one thing I respect about Volkanovski, you've got his featherweight legacy, taking on every dangerous contender. He took on Yair Rodriguez when he was dangerous, Max Holloway when he was dangerous. He's taking on Brian Ortega, also a Korean Zombie. He's just always taking on dangerous contenders, and then when they fight Volkanovski, they're not so dangerous. And then also the Islam fights. Fighting Islam Makhachev on 12 days' notice in an entirely new division. You've got to respect him for that. And if these guys, every time they've fought, it's always been a scrap. So for these two, they're definitely the BMFs of the featherweight division. They're two best in the division as well. They've fought some absolute killers as well. And it's like whenever Volkanovski doesn't get the chance to beat a contender, Holloway will do it for him. So for featherweight, I've gone Volkanovski and Holloway. Bantamweight, I've gone Corey Sandhagen and Yan. Again, a fight that has happened before. It was, I think, 2021, just after Aljo pulled out of the fight against Yan. Yeah, Sandhagen's just going to take on anyone the UFC offer him. Took on Marlon Vera after he's coming off a dangerous win, beats him. Fought Rob Font, signed a contract against Umar Nurmagomedov, I think was ranked number 12 when he didn't have to do that. Again, this is what I mean about Sandhagen. The guy was about one fight away from a title shot, and he books a fight against Umar Nurmagomedov. This is my point. Sandhagen doesn't care. He just wants to fight. And look at the long resume that Sandhagen's got at bantamweight. He's fought so many people, man. Obviously, he got the fight with Aljo, Vera, like I've just said. The guy's got such a long list of people he's fought, and obviously he's fought Yan as well. And then we've got Yan, again, fighting people like Sandhagen. The fact that he's on a bit of a losing streak now, taking on a killer in Merab, fighting Aljo, fighting O'Malley. Again, this long list of featherweight, bantamweight contenders, and now he's booked a fight against Song Yadong, a dangerous Song Yadong. That's what I like about Peter Yan. Once he was one of the biggest cold-blooded killers in the division was Peter Yan. He was a cold-blooded killer, one of the most dangerous in the division, and to be honest, he still is. He's just had a couple of losses, and yeah, these guys will take on all the tough contenders they have to just to get back to the top. top. And that's what I respect about both these guys. They're two BMFs. They're not going to go on the mic and say, oh, I don't want to fight this guy because of this reason, or I'm ducking this guy because of this reason. They're just there to fight. So that's what I respect about these two guys. And finally, Flyweight. Again, another fight. Pantoja versus Moreno. Pretty similar to Volkanovski and Holloway, with Pantoja being the best and then Moreno being the second best. These guys own the division. They show up to die. That's what. They're going to get the win. These guys have the mindset that they're going to get the win, or they're going to get killed doing so. They had such a close fight at UFC 290. One of the best fights of the year that was, to be honest with you. You've got Pantoja on one end, who, again, not the best gas tank, but he'll fight for the win every time. The fight he had against Royval, the fight he had against Moreno, he will just scrap to the win every time. One of the biggest scrappers in the division, Pantoja. Look at his style. The second the fight starts, Pantoja's in the middle of the octagon, in the center of the octagon there, scrapping, swinging. That's what I respect about Pantoja. And then Moreno as well, taking on people like Kai Kara France, Amir Albazi. He's just got such a scrappy style as Moreno. He's fought Pantoja 3 times, he's not giving up. And the fact that he's able to shut out all of these contenders, Moreno, he's just got such an entertaining style to watch. Both got dog in them. Fight of the year contender. And for me, these guys definitely have the, they don't care who they fight. They've just got the BMF energy in the division. And for me, that has to be who would fight for the BMF belt in every division. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. What other fights could you make, possibly that are BMF related? And thank you for watching.